Welcome, my name is Colleen Tauke and I'm a sewing specialist at Fons and Porter. In this Quilting Quickly tutorial, I will show you how to put the quilt together called Halloween Stepping Stones. Now, to purchase the pattern for this quilt, you can visit our website. We are going to be using 10-inch squares. Halloween is one of those holidays that comes and goes very quickly, so great way to use pre-cuts. 10-inch squares makes a quilt come together really quickly. And then we're going to pair it with a great little white print background that has stars and moons on it and a wonderful stripe border. Who doesn't like orange and black? Okay, so what we're going to do is I want to show you on the quilt itself how it's actually constructed, because most of the time we're thinking horizontal rows, but in Halloween Stepping Stones we're going vertical instead. So as we look at the quilt, you'll see that those 10-inch squares are put on point that go down through the quilt. So our row here and here is what we're going to be creating, and that they're offset. They aren't touching point to point here, just vertically. So let's work through it. We're going to be working with those 10-inch squares. You're going to be cutting squares from your background fabric and then cutting those squares up. So the diagrams in your pattern, good time to reference those. What we're going to be cutting are some squares that are called, and then they're cut up to be called A triangles within the quilt. And I'm going to lay them out as if they were cut. They are cut from a square because we want the bias edge to be in the proper place while we're putting this quilt together. Because if we have the bias in the wrong place, everything will stretch. Working with vertical rows, everything will get elongated, and that's not what quilters usually want. So the A triangles are cut from a large square that you cut from your background fabric, and then you can see that it is cross-cut in both directions, corner to corner. Now, one other thing you can do to alleviate any stretch before you cut your large squares is to use either spray starch or a sizing product, and that helps stabilize the fibers, and then when you do your cross cut, those bias edges won't become distorted. So mark those as your A triangles. You're going to be using quite a few of those. And then you will need also some that are called B triangles. Now, the B triangles are cut from smaller squares, just like this, and you'll notice that now they are only cut once, corner to corner. Again, the bias is in the proper place so that when we're assembling our quilt, we don't get the stretch. And I will show you then how those rows are assembled. We're going to be using just a few of the prints here. It's fun to work with Halloween prints. Sometimes people actually collect the Halloween prints because they think, I love them, but I don't know what to do with them. Well, this might be the time that you pull that collection out and create a wonderful Halloween quilt. We're going to start with one of the squares for the top row and work our way down. Now what we want to do is create the top corner of our quilt. But these triangles seem very large. That's why we're going to leave those, and we're going to go to the B triangles to create the very top of our row. So like this. And then we're going to stretch the limits of our sewing center here. We're going to put the second one in place. And then if you think about this as a vertical row, you'll notice these are large triangle spaces. That's where the A triangles go. Just like this. And then it's about the construction. For sure, how do we put this together? Well, you can then put one piece on here, stitch, 1/4-inch seam, and press out. Then where do you go? It's a diagonal setting. You're going to be putting this piece to here, then join this piece. You're going to create this diagonal row. And then the same thing, repeat. Follow the diagrams in your pattern. It's a savior. Now the second row, you'll notice, is offset and slid down a little bit. How do we do that? A rectangle spacer will do perfectly. We put a rectangle space like this, the C rectangle. I'll turn it so you can actually see it. Then you start again with that diagonal set. And as I laid that in, you'll see small triangles both here. So these small triangles are at the top of this row, and then keep going down through your quilt. It finishes with a great stripe binding and some black binding, and you've got Halloween stepping stones. Thanks for joining me today.